We're live from New Delhi, watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, coming up in the next 30 minutes. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar upbeat about India-US ties, says Trump administration prioritizing the bilateral relationship, building on old foundations. In India's Maharashtra, at least 12 persons dead as passengers jump off Pushpak Express after rumour of a fire run over by incoming Karnataka Express. US Congress approves Trump's promised crackdown on criminal migrant suspects. Aircrafts and 1,500 ground troop support being readied for deployment along the southern border. Thousands evacuated as new fast-growing fire ignites near Los Angeles. Weathermen warn of strong winds and dry, low humid conditions. And in sports, Abhishek Sharma's heroics lead India to a comfortable 7-wicket victory over England in the first T20 international of 5-match series. And on to the details now, wrapping up his 4 days visit to Washington, D.C. for taking part in U.S. President Donald Trump's inauguration and Quad Foreign Ministers meeting. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar said that both countries are building on the bilateral relations on the basis of foundations laid in the past during Trump 1 tenure.
Trump administration was keen to have India present at the inaugural itself. They're clearly prioritizing the bilateral relationship. Secondly, I think in the meetings I had, it was also evident that they would like to build on the foundation of the relationship, a foundation which the first Trump administration also contributed a lot to building. President Trump and Prime Minister Modi at that time took a number of initiatives, and we have seen that mature in many ways. The third impression was with regard to the Quad. Again, a very strong sense that the current administration would reciprocate our desire as well.
While interacting with media in the USA capital, India's External Affairs Minister also said that India has always been against illegal migration but encourages legal movement of people. Adding that both countries will work on in a collaborative manner, he said that India will be ready to take back those illegal Indians whose identities have been proved.
Opposed to illegal mobility and illegal migration, because you also know that when something illegal happens, many other illegal activities get joined onto it, and it's not, this is not desirable. It's certainly not reputationally good. We have, with every country, and the US is no exception, we have always taken the view that if there are any of our citizens who are not here legally, if we are sure that they are our citizens, we have always been, open to their legitimate return to India.
Meanwhile, continuing with his high-profile meetings, clearly showing that the Trump administration is prioritizing the bilateral relationship, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar met Senator Mark Warner, who is the co-chair of the U.S. Senate India Caucus. Two leaders discussed ways to further strengthen the bilateral partnership. Earlier, Jaishankar met Secretary of State Marco Rubio and National Security Advisor Mike Waltz in Washington, D.C. And the death toll in Maharashtra's Jalgaon train accident has risen to 12. The tragic incident was reported on Wednesday when some passengers of Pushpak Express got off the train after a false alarm was raised, were run over by another train coming from the opposite direction on the adjacent tracks. Maharashtra Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis informed that the district administration is working in coordination with the railway administration and immediate arrangements are being made for the treatment of the injured. Chief Minister had also announced Rs 5 lakh ex gratia for next kin of the deceased. Well, Railway Minister Ashwini Vaishnaw has expressed a deep grief over Jalgaon train accident. He's collected complete information from Railway Board Chief and other officials. He's also directed them for the adequate medical treatment of the injured. He's also expressed condolences to the deceased. Expressing grief over the loss of lives in the tragic incident, President on X said, and I quote, "The news of the death of many passengers in the railway track accident in Jalgaon, Maharashtra is extremely painful. I express my deepest condolences to the bereaved families. I pray to God that all the injured passengers recover soon," unquote. Also, Prime Minister Narendra Modi on X wrote, and I quote, "Anguished by the tragic accident on the railway tracks in Jalgaon, Maharashtra, I extend my heartfelt condolences to the bereaved families and pray for the speedy recovery of all the injured. Authorities are providing all possible assistance to those affected," unquote. And now to all the latest from the Maha Kumbh, the largest gathering of humans on the planet. Well, on the 11th day of Maha Kumbh, Prayagraj continues to welcome millions of devotees at Triveni Sangam, the world's largest religious gathering. Millions of devotees have taken a holy dip at the sacred confluence so far. Being held after 12 years, the Maha Kumbh will continue in Prayagraj until 26th of February. Over its 45-day duration, this grand spiritual gathering is expected to draw more than 40 crore devotees, including pilgrims and visitors from across the globe. On Wednesday, Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath reviewed preparations for the Mauni Amavasya Amrit Snan to take place on January 29th. Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath, along with Deputy CMs Keshav Prasad Maurya, Brajesh Pathak and other cabinet ministers, took a holy dip in Triveni Sangam during the ongoing Maha Kumbh in Prayagraj. Well, the number of devotees who've taken the holy dip has crossed 100 million mark, and the figures are expected to climb even further. For such a large gathering, are the ghats well equipped? Let's take a look at this report sent by Deepika from the ghats of Maha Kumbh. Take a look.
Crores of devotees are flocking every day at Maha Kumbh 2025 to take the holy dip in Prayagraj. And to ensure that the visitors have a seamless experience, the government has made extensive arrangements. The ghats are equipped with adequate security arrangements, 24/7 recce by police personnel and the availability of male and female police officers. Not only this, air, land and river ambulances have also been made available at the ghats. As we walk closer towards the river, one will have an easy accessibility to changing rooms which have been installed near the ghats. The devotees can take a tour of the river through the help of jetties as well as boats, making it a budget-friendly experience.
Everything is very well managed and we enjoy a lot here. Known about our culture, and it is come from the 144 years ago. So many people are come here to know what the reason 144 reason कि हम लोग यहाँ पे क्यों आ रहे हैं, इसलिए यहाँ पे.
The ghats are also equipped with play areas for kids, water, ATMs, small shops and eateries so that the devotees can take the holy dip, meditate and have a sumptuous meal while their kids can spend their time in the play areas. With a 360-degree approach, the central and state government is leaving no stone unturned to make Maha Kumbh a grand and peaceful event.
Facilities, entertainment, security and the purpose of life. You'll get everything on the various ghats of Prayagraj during the Maha Kumbh, the Mega Kumbh Mela 2025. Not only are you invited to enjoy the divine spirit and witness the spiritual alignment of planets that is making it even more special, but also enjoy the vast divinity, the vast unity in diversity here in Prayagraj during the Maha Kumbh festival. With camera person Shiv Suman, this is Deepika reporting for DD India from Prayagraj Kumbh.
And now let's take a look at other stories making news today. The Indian Army conducted a flood relief exercise in Guwahati, Assam to bolster its preparedness for providing assistance during times of natural calamities, particularly floods, which are common in the region. The exercise involved coordination between various army units to ensure an efficient response in the event of a flood emergency. The army also worked closely with local authorities to assess infrastructural vulnerabilities and improve disaster response strategies. The District Social Welfare Department of Poonch, Jammu and Kashmir recently organized a vibrant scooty rally to promote the important social message of Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. That means save the girl child, educate the girl child. The rally was aimed at raising awareness about the empowerment of girls, ensuring their protection and highlighting the importance of education for them. In an attempt to transform Manaswal Lake in central Kashmir into a premier ecotourism destination, a scenic 1.8-kilometer pathway encircling the lake is being built to showcase its breathtaking beauty. The project aims to balance tourism development with environmental preservation. The pathway will provide a beautiful walking route for visitors to enjoy the lake's picturesque views, enhancing accessibility. The renowned sand artist Sudarshan Patnaik recently paid a heartfelt tribute to Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose by creating an intricate sand sculpture at Puri Beach in Odisha. This remarkable artwork was a tribute to the iconic leader, marking his contributions to India's freedom, especially as we celebrate his legacy and remember his efforts for independence. The sculpture was not just an artistic representation, but also a symbol of respect and admiration for Netaji's sacrifice and leadership. And today, India commemorates the birth anniversary of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, a revolutionary leader whose relentless struggle against British colonial rule made him a symbol of bravery and nationalism. His legacy continues to inspire generations. Let's take a look at this report.
Subhash Chandra Bose was born on January 23, 1897 in Cuttack, Odisha. A visionary leader, Bose was instrumental in galvanizing the youth and organizing the Indian National Army to fight against British colonial rule. Popularly addressed as Netaji, Bose's leadership extended beyond borders as he united Indians across nations to join the cause of freedom. His efforts to seek international alliances and his role as the president of Indian National Congress in 1938 and 1939 solidified his place in history. Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose is one of India's most celebrated freedom fighters, known for his fiery patriotism and the slogan, "Give me blood, I will give you freedom." He still remains a symbol of courage, determination, and sacrifice in India's struggle for independence. On this day, citizens across the nation remember Bose's vision of a free and self-reliant India. From school children to political leaders, tributes pour in, honoring his life and legacy. As India continues to grow as a global power, the ideals of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose serve as a guiding light for the nation's progress. His words, "Freedom is not given, it is taken," continue to resonate deeply in the hearts of every Indian. Kriti Vadera's report for DD India.
And still to come in this edition of DD India Live. Albanian Prime Minister signals possible policy shift on TikTok after constructive talks with platform's European official. And artists explored the intersection of AI, robotics and human biofeedback in creative process at the World Economic Forum. And we'll give you all the updates as 5th edition of Khelo India Winter Games kicks off today.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, and moving on, the Republican-led U.S. Congress gave final approval to the immigrant detention bill on Wednesday. Over 45 House Democrats voted to support the amended version. This is President Trump's first legislative victory since being sworn into office. The law passed the upper chamber in a comfortable 64-35 vote earlier this week after sailing through the House of Representatives. The bill will be the first legislation to be signed by Donald Trump in his second tenure as U.S. President. Named after a woman who was killed by an undocumented immigrant, the Laken Riley bill requires officials to detain undocumented immigrants who are charged, arrested or convicted with certain crimes. 2 amendments were added to the final version in the Senate to expand the scope of offences that could lead to detention. And just 2 days after President Donald Trump signed an executive order on immigration, White House said U.S. military will send 1,500 additional active duty troops to the border with Mexico. The additional troops include 500 Marines as well as Army helicopter crews and intelligence analysts. They will join 2,200 active duty troops and thousands of National Guards that were on the border prior to Trump's inauguration this week. These forces will work on the placement of physical barriers and other border missions. Acting Secretary of Defense Robert Salas said the department will provide military airlift to support deportation flights of more than 5,000 immigrants held by U.S. authorities in El Paso, Texas and San Diego, California. During his first term, Republican Trump ordered 5,200 troops to help secure the border with Mexico. Democratic former President Joe Biden deployed active duty troops to the border as well. And after Trump's crackdown on migrant entry to the U.S., hundreds of migrants now queued outside the government offices in northern Mexico with an aim to seek asylum in the North American nation. Amid fears of kidnapping and extortion, migrants say if there is no option to go to the United States, they will stay in Mexico if they get the permission. And U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio spoke with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Wednesday to reiterate Washington's support for its ally, and the two also discussed Iran and Israeli hostages in Gaza. The call was Rubio's first with Israel since the administration of Republican President Donald Trump took office on Monday. Trump and his predecessor, former President Joe Biden, have both been supporters of Israel during its war in Gaza and Lebanon. The State Department said in a statement that Rubio underscored that maintaining the United States' steadfast support for Israel is a top priority for Trump. Rubio told Netanyahu that Washington will continue to work tirelessly to help free the remaining hostages in Gaza. Well, a new fast-moving wildfire has erupted in Los Angeles County, exploding in size and forcing thousands of people to evacuate in a region already on edge after two deadly blazes. Fanned by strong, dry Santa Ana winds, ferocious flames were devouring hillsides near Castaic Lake, spreading rapidly to cover more than 8,000 acres in just a few hours. The new fire is burning north of the two mammoth blazes, which are still burning, that killed more than 24 people and destroyed thousands of structures. Well, helicopters and planes were on the scene, dropping water and retardant on the blaze. Notably, even though January is the middle of the region's rainy season, Southern California has not seen any significant precipitation in around 8 months, leaving the countryside tinder dry. And Colombian President Gustavo Petro arrived in Haiti's southeastern city of Jacmel on Wednesday in a rare visit by a foreign head of state as Haiti endures an extended conflict with armed gangs. Petro had a layover in the Dominican Republic, skirting Haiti's embattled capital, where several shootings against diplomatic vehicles were reported just this week. He met with the top Haitian government officials, including Leslie Voltaire, who holds the Transitional Presidential Council's rotating presidency, in an engagement intended to strengthen bilateral ties. Voltaire said he wants to foment closer relations with South American nations in a bid to shore up security support as a UN-backed security mission fails to hold off the advances of the country's gangs. An Albanian Prime Minister, Edi Rama, who in December announced a year-long ban on TikTok, said this week he has held open and constructive talks with a low social media platform. But following discussions with Christine Graham, one of TikTok's top officials in Europe, he suggested a change of policy was possible. The blocking of the controversial social network came less than a month after a 14-year-old student was killed and another injured in a fight near a school in Tirana. The fight had developed from an online confrontation on social media. The killing sparked a debate in the country among parents, psychologists and educational institutions about the impact of social networks on young people. Prime Minister Rama's apparent about turn came 2 days after U.S. President Donald Trump signed a decree suspending for 75 days a ban on TikTok, whose owners have been ordered by the U.S. Congress to sell the platform or see definitely barred from the country. Well, South Sudan ordered internet providers to block social media platforms, including Facebook and TikTok, following violent protests over the deaths of its citizens last week. Demonstrations erupted in the capital, Juba, last week over reports that clashes in neighboring Sudan had killed 29 of South Sudanese, but turned violent, with people looting Sudanese-owned businesses. Anger spread across the impoverished nation, with officers opening fire to disperse crowds and later detaining hundreds of looters. Although the situation appeared to have calmed over the weekend, the curfew officially remained in place. An artist, Gwen Chung, presented Spectral Oscillation 2 at the World Economic Forum in Davos, a groundbreaking project that explores the relationship between artificial intelligence, robotics, and human biofeedback in creative processes. The project delves into the future of traditional art forms like mark making, raising questions about how technology will influence and reshape human creativity. You're watching DD India News. Our time now for some sports news. Varun Chakravarti captured 3 wickets and opener Abhishek Sharma scored a blistering half-century to power India to a convincing 7-wicket win over England in the first of the 5-match T20 series on Wednesday. Chasing 133, India easily dominated the game and took 1-0 lead. Abhishek Sharma played a fiery knock 79 off 34 balls, while Sanju Samson scored 26 off 20 balls as India chased down the target in just 12.5 overs. Apart from them, Tilak Verma also scored 19 not out of 16 balls. Earlier, Varun Chakravarti scalped 3 wickets, while Arshdeep Singh, Hardik Pandya and Akshar Patel took 2 wickets each. For England, Jos Buttler scored 68 of 44 balls. The second of the 5-match series will take place on Saturday. And the Union Territory of Ladakh is all set to host the first leg of the 5th edition of the Khelo India Winter Games on Thursday, featuring 428 athletes from 19 competing teams. Well, this marks the second time since the Games' inception in 2020 that Ladakh will play host to the event. The second leg of the event will be held in Jammu and Kashmir in February. 19 teams comprising states, union territories and institutional outfits will compete over 5 days across 2 events, ice hockey and ice skating. A traditional Ladakhi-style opening ceremony has been planned to welcome 594 participants, including 428 athletes. All right, that's all for this edition of DD India Live. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lepakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.